diabetes. However, hated them, telling them a little bit, dire. However, she wants to live. She's got a great attitude. I want to address that pancreatic cancer in whatever you might be able to help with.
Okay, we're going to talk about pancreatic cancer. Please understand we're not prescribing, we're not diagnosing, we're not any cures. We're talking about the foods, the natural
Well, 97% it doesn't work on Dr. Ralph Morse. There's a video that was just put out about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe, and I cried. Memorial Sloan Kettering, and he was undercover, and he years blocking everything. What he didn't know is that Dr. William Frederick Koch was murdered a few years, and so was Dr. Blast because they.
Okay, all right. That being said, meetings, I don't see anyone who has pressed their start key 2 times on their telephone, so they're not. So I've already got some topics that are suggested from the dial pad, and that is stroke. Stroke. There's so many people that are suffering from stroke, and they need comforting. They need comforting. They need to know what natural remedies are being used to comfort them out there, uh, and to increase their vitality. Uh, we we also need to talk about osteoporosis. A lot of people are suffering with osteoporosis. And there's so many other things we should talk about. This is December. This is the season where all these holidays are going on, and interestingly enough, this is the season during this time. People have a lot of anxiety, they have a lot of stress, they have a lot of these things that they're dealing with, and the anxiety and the stress during the holidays, especially for those who are disadvantaged, and they're not able to participate in the gift giving. They fact they need gifts, and 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 they're not getting them, etc. So, and this is a lot of pressure. This is a lot of pressure. Pressure on kids, pressure on adults to come up with things they don't have, and then they beat themselves up about it, and so forth. So there's a lot of that going on, and it cannot be it cannot be ignored when you're really interested in helping people who are suffering. You cannot ignore uh, the things that are going on, like the anxiety and the depression, along with chest and all of those kinds of asthma and so forth uh, during the cold season. So these are things that are on my mind. And yes, pancreatic cancer is always on my mind because that's a very difficult one.
That is one of the worst. One of them.
It, absolutely. So that being said, and I'm looking over there.
But I'm on
Uh,
a mission, and I always involve myself very much. She could be
yes.
my mother.
So that means I'm looking over here and I see that there is a mic open, uh, and I see there. Uh, can you tell me over there in Dial Pad Meetings Room? Do you have a question, a suggestion, or a topic? Please go ahead. I see your mic is open. You're okay. I'll close your mic for you. And in case you do have a question later on, you just open up that microphone. That means you have a suggestion, topic, or something you want to talk about. And all right, we did that. Now, uh, that being said, let's address this cancer issue. Okay, let's go over to the website herbalhealthreview.com and click on common conditions. And when we do, then we're going down uh, A, B, C, D until we get to breast and all cancers. And what this is, these are the natural remedies, the foods that may comfort people who are challenged with any type of cancer. Let's take a look at how that goes. What can people do? Is it true that there's nothing that you can do? Is there absolutely nothing that can be done besides drugs? No, that's not true. What we can do here is understand what we're dealing with. And cancer is a class of diseases characterized by out of control cell growth. And there are over 100 different types of cancer, and each is classified by the type of cell that is initially affected. Cancer harms the body when damaged cells divide uncontrollably to form lumps or masses of tissue called tumors, except in the case of leukemia, where cancer prohibits normal blood function by abnormal cell division in the bloodstream. Tumors can grow and interfere with digestive, uh, the digestive system, the nervous system, the circulatory systems. They can all tumors can grow and interfere with all of these systems: digestive, nervous, circulatory, and they can release hormones that alter body function. Tumors that stay in one spot and demonstrate limited growth are generally considered to be benign. More dangerous and malignant tumors form with when two things occur. Number one, a cancerous cell manages to move throughout the body using the blood or lymph systems, destroying healthy tissue in a process called invasion. Or number two, that a cell manages to divide and grow, making new blood vessels to feed itself in a process called angiogenesis. Cancer is ultimately the result of cells that uncontrollably grow and do not die. Normal cells in the body follow an orderly path of growth, division, and finally death. And programmed cell death is called apoptosis. That's programmed. If your cell is programmed to, normal cell is programmed uh, with apoptosis, natural cell death. And when this process breaks down, cancer begins to form. Unlike regular cells, cancer cells do not experience programmatic death and instead continue to grow and divide. This leads to a mass of abnormal cells that grows out of control. Now, there's some reports here that you can look at. The 1 minute uh, uh, miracle clinic .com that has some interesting information. And it's the federal agency in charge of approving every food and drug that you eat. And 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 here's a study as of 05 2019, and that actually demonstrates that almost all FDA rules are unconstitutional. So that should be looked at. They need to clean up their act.
I want to point something out to you. You
Go
see
ahead.
that word chemotherapy? You see it? Look in the middle of the word and you see the word mother. You see it?
Sure.
Mother. I was 15 when she drew her last breath and they gave her that stuff over a 14-year period. And it was horrific what they did to her. And I had to witness it for years.
I
Chopping off
understand.
one of her breasts when I was a baby, chopping off the other one later on, the human butchers.
It's a very, very sad thing. And that's exactly why at the age of 5 years old, I witnessed this and I understood it. And the Lord laid it upon my heart that someday I was going to do something about it. And it bothered me until finally I was at the age of 18 years old when I finally had the opportunity to learn about natural remedies, and I was on fire for absorbing all of that information. I was just a sponge soaking up everything I could find out about it, so that because it bothered me. The spirit came upon me to be bothered by people's suffering. It, it People will call me up, and I will remember what they told me and how they're suffering and so forth, and what they're going on,
Right.
and I take it on,
Right.
and it's and then
Right.
and at the end of the day, I'm exhausted.
Right.
I'm exhausted because I have picked up their cross, and I loaded on my back, and I pray about it, and I think about it, and finally, and after 60 years of doing this, it just of opening the floodgates of all the information, then it 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 comes upon me to create these natural remedies that would comfort people, that would give them some nourishment, something that is going to help the body to help them make a
To
difference.
fix
And
itself.
yeah. So that
And
being
what? Hey,
said,
when you got stuff in the oil, don't you got to do an oil change? Don't once in a while they do a transmission oil change, put on some new filters? You know.
yes, that's it, and that's a big thing. Yeah, Edward is that we need to maintain the vehicle, the body, before it breaks
But
down.
but
Not
what
wait
happens?
until it. Not, but there, people are misled,
What happens when you put the wrong oil in the car and
and
you're using all these the wrong oils and you're
that
putting them? It's not going to run right. So when you start putting in the right oil, what happens? Coconut oil, avocado oil you cook with because it cooks hotter. Salad. My salad is drenched with olive oil. I mean, so that it's so coated. That's how. And my coconut oil goes in my big mug of hot cocoa at night. Lots of it.
yes. So the thing about it is, folks, it's getting into this lifestyle changes routine of
Right.
finding out which nutrients and vitamins actually work for you, which ones you may be deficient in. And there are a lot of vitamins that people are deficient in. It's a big secret that is not, you're not supposed to know, but people are deficient in nutrients, minerals, and vitamins. And when you start loading those into your diet, and you start uh, stop shopping GMO because it's cheaper, don't you know, and that's all you can afford. But you could. It's kind of like buying the cardboard box that the vegetables and fruit comes in, and eating that when you're eating GMO, and
Just about worse than that. You'd be better off
you
eating cardboard than what
yes,
the
because
poor.
it won't. Cardboard probably won't make you sick as much as the GMO foods will. So the point of it is, it's it's discovering natural remedies really do work, really will help you, really will increase your energy, your memory, your ability to have a quality of life. I see people struggling. They're working and suffering. They're suffering and suffering and going to work suffering, and they have to, because if not, they're not able to buy that GMO food and put it on the table.
And look at how many obese people there are because they don't get enough real protein in their life, and the brain just starts craving sugar. If people would learn what to do, but they're too busy slaving for a living, and when they come home they just turn on some entertainment or something.
Yes. Well,
They don't
and
study.
and they're told that go to the doctor, and the doctor's telling them, hey, there's nothing you can do here. I mean, whatever it is you've got, that's it. So here, take chemotherapy or radiation, and you've heard that you don't want that. So then you go home. Then there's nothing they can do, etc. But here is something. Let's talk about what can be done. What can be done is You can find out what they've known since 1925, that it's been known that starving the body of sugar,
Yes.
carbohydrates, it
Yes.
kills cancer cells anywhere in the body. Starve the body of sugar. The key is to not totally stop using carbs. In other words, you're going to use a little bit of fruit, but there are going to be no white sugar in your house. That's what that means. And you're not going to stop using a fruit, but you're going to use fruit that is going to be organic, and you're going to use a modest amount of it. And it's got to be organic. Sugar's in everything, so you're going to look at everything before you eat it. And if you're not eating organic, you're probably eating GMO, genetically modified organisms, which does make people very sick. In the pre-civilization era, people used meat as their main source of nutrition. They also they also used green leaves, seeds, fruits, and wild plants for supplement.
Very.
Their dietary style is now called the hunter gatherer's diet or the Paleolithic diet. According to reports, during the era, there were no signs of diseases such as coronary artery disease or cancer, and very little sign of any other diseases.
Right.
Since the advent of agriculture, people have increasingly replaced the traditional diet with products of agriculture such as grains, fruits, concentrates, uh, not the real deal, vegetables and others. uh, But with the technological advancement that have applied to agriculture, people have fallen in love with the sweetness of these products, especially sugar, refined grains, and grain products, and fruits. In more recent decades, thanks to the national policies of the United States and other countries, which serve to protect their agricultural production, people have consumed more grains and fruits, which are abundant in carbohydrates. They're abundant in sugar. And during the same period, the nutritional and medical professionals have believed that carbohydrates are the best source of nutrition,
Huh.
and that's wrong.
That's a lie.
The reason that carbohydrates generate only 4 grams of energy, while fats generate 9 cal per gram, and the proteins are 4 k cal per gram. It's based on an individual daily energy requirement. Carbohydrates can afford the individual to eat a wider variety and a greater amount of foods than if we were eating higher fat foods. But anyway, it's all very confusing, and it all winds up with what they're doing, and with all the nutritional and medical professionals alike have also believed that fats are the cause for obesity, overweight, cardiovascular disease, stroke, cancer, and other disorders. They have become lipophobic, and at the same time, they are still unsure of the impact on our health from using more protein for our nutrition. The experts are somewhat aminophobic. In other words, they're not using amino acids. They're against them for some reason. A majority of nutritional and medical professionals continue to promote the consumption of carbohydrate, but not of fats and proteins. And I've got some open mics over there. Again, I see open mic there, and Do you have a question or a topic or a suggestion? Please let me know what that might be. Nobody's answering. I'm closing up the mics. Please open them again if you have a question, topic, or suggestion. But what we're talking about is nutrition,
Real food.
and
We're talking about
yeah,
real food here.
yes, and the fact that we're
live
getting a sugar
nutrition with enzymes, not
and GMO.
Now,
That's what we're getting.
your
So
your
we got
base
to apply some behaviors
your basic
that
rules
will
of
help.
thumb. Your basic rules of thumb. You have
Exactly.
5 fingers. If I may interject something, you have 5 fingers. Okay, there's 5 basic rules. Number
Yep.
one, artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. No GMOs and no processed oils. Anything else is fair game. Okay, no artificial colors,
that's
flavors, or
that's
preservatives.
very good.
No genetically modified foods, and no
I
processed
want to add something
oils.
when you finish. I
Okay.
want to add something.
Olive oil,
Um,
avocado oil, great,
yes,
good stuff. Eh,
coconut coconut oil. With my
Coconuts.
peanut butter, my nut butter. I make my own nut butters, but I do it with coconut oil.
Yeah. And absolutely, positively, no high fructose corn syrup.
There you go. You just took that's what I was waiting to say. Why? Because 33% at least has mercury in it. The FDA said 15 years ago, I read the articles, they didn't have enough manpower to monitor all the refineries on the corn syrup. So 1/3 of all corn syrup in all packaged goods in this country has mercury in it, and it's so good for you that there was a 31 a second commercial on one of the mainstream news. I'm not going to say which one right now. And it said that doctors are finding through a study that mercury is good for developing brains in infants. I almost fell off my chair. Keep in mind, I have handles on the side of my chair because my mind is blown all the time.
Yeah.
Back to you. Oh, sugar. One more thing. Sugar.
Sugar,
They
real,
took a
honest,
study.
real honest to God sugar, okay? Real honest
Well,
to God, pure
listen.
cane sugar.
They took refined sugar, not organic sugar. They put it outside an ant colony, and after 2 generations, they're too lethargic to reproduce. However, organic sugar can be very healthy, not when you have cancer.
Right.
Okay, that being said, we've got a microphone open over here in Florida. Do you have a question, a topic, or a suggestion? Okay, I'm going to close your mic and
Hi,
go ahead.
Dr. Truman.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I just tuned in. Yes, I just tuned in. I'll listen to what's going on before I comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And that being said, so what all this is pointing to is it's pointing to the Make Lifestyle Changes report in the breast and all cancer report, because the first thing is that the breast and all cancer report is talking about uh, what's going on in the food supply, and that it's messed up, and people are eating this messed up food supply, and they're taking too many chemicals that aren't working, and it all points, and everything we've just said all points to one thing: make lifestyle changes, make life make lifestyle changes. So I'm clicking on the make lifestyle changes report, because that you, that's going to help everything we're talking about. That's going to help people who are at risk for stroke, at risk for pancreatic cancer, at risk for osteoporosis, who have anxiety and stress and even have the flu. Then they need to know about this make lifestyle changes diet report. So let's take a look at it. And when we're looking at the make lifestyle changes diet system, It's talking about the fact that changing your diet can help relieve depression and put you in a better mood, according to a study, October 9, 2019. It was a randomized controlled trial evaluating how a Mediterranean style diet affects young adults. And it has linked eating more fruits and vegetables with a reduction in symptoms of depression, stress, and anxiety. And an observation that may be due to changes in the digestive system microbiome.
Hmm.
So how does it start? Where do you start? And this is a very good guide because it starts with approximately how much water you should be drinking. And starting with 16 ounces of water with a slice of lemon, because this real organic lemon is going to that thick slice of lemon in your first 16 ounces of water, that is spring water with minerals. Now you're getting real water, you're getting and you're driving it alkaline with the lemon, and the lemon is also flushing out the kidneys.
I just bought 10 limes. They were 10 cents a piece.
Limes are great. They're a little bit weaker than a lemon. It's a little in citric acid, a little weaker, but
Okay.
they're
But
delicious
I
and they
made
work
up for
fine.
it. I made up for it. I put in my tea the rose hip citrus bioflavonoids, MSM, and I ran out of my ascorbic acid. Keep going.
Okay. So what this is saying is hydration. So many people don't have time to stop and drink some water. They're in a hurry. They've got to get somewhere, they've got to do something, but they don't have time to drink any water. And we've got a lot of dehydrated people walking around feeling horrible and can't figure out why.
Good water that gets into your cells.
That's right. And then then the next thing it's talking about is B12 and folic acid drops. Well, B12 and folic acid, half a dropper 3 times a day, will uh, rejuvenate every cell in your body. It'll wake up the brain. It'll energize you, give you that extra spring in your step that you don't have anymore. Don't have any more spring left in your step. Don't have any more step left in your step. You know, so but the folic but so this is what we're starting with, is the most important things: the water, some key nutrients that's going to wake up the brain, that's going to help to even fight anemia, because a lot of especially ladies are anemic. Their blood is weak and so forth. So this is the B12 and folic acid drop. That's going to be a good thing to wake up the brain. And then it's going to, the second thing is one of the most important things you can possibly ever find out about, and that's vitamin D3. And the trick of boosting up your use of your absorption of vitamin D3 by taking a dose that wakes you up and gives you 50,000 IUs for 15 days. That's only 2 weeks and one day. I mean, we're not talking about taking it for 6 months or 6 years. We're talking about taking it for 2 weeks in one day, a booster dose. And you do that at the right time. Timing is everything. And the right time is going in the vitamin D3. That's what you're getting from the sun. Well, the sun goes away in October. Say goodbye to the sun most places, unless you're living in the Caribbean, uh, and the Bahamas and so forth. But this vitamin D3, this boosts your immune system. It's said to be, I read the information and it said they said there's, and then we have a study here that tells us that it's the reason why people have high blood pressure is they don't have enough vitamin D, and when you get enough vitamin D, the blood pressure levels out. But
It's
sometimes
essential. Vitamin D3, if they were telling the truth, would be listed as essential.
essential, yes, it is. It should be, but it isn't. So, but finding out that you're taking these super nutrients, you're getting the right amount of water. You got the trick of putting the lemon juice, a real lemon, in your water. You got the B12 and folic acid drop, half a dropper 3 times a day. You got the right amount of vitamin D3 that's going to boost your immune system to where it's going to be hard for you to get sick. It's going to be hard for you to get sick when you know about this trick with vitamin D3.
And
And
Dr. Truman, you
but
know
you don't.
those
But you
containers of lime juice and lemon juice in the stupid market? They have sodium benzoate in it. That stuff is so hard, that preservative, to get out of your body. No one should ever buy that stuff in those plastic containers of lemon or lime juice.
there you go. That's right. So now we're talking about vitamin D, and we're
Yes.
talking about taking it for 2 times a year, at the beginning of October. And if you miss that, then don't worry about it. Just start in. If it's the first time you ever, then you start in whenever you find out about it. That's when you start. But if your timing is that your timing you're looking for is every 1st of October, you're doing 50,000 IUs of vitamin D3, and you're doing it 1 time a day, and you're doing it for 14 days. And on the 15th day, you drop back to 10,000. That's 10 drops if you're using the Liquid Sunshine brand. And I get nothing from the sale of any products.
Do
So
you do that yourself a lot?
definitely, definitely. And then I stay on 10,000 every day. But in October, I started hitting high doses of vitamin D through October. And then I'll do the same in the springtime when everybody's trying to get used to all the pollens and all the things. So I'm taking my vitamin D, and that boosts your immune system to where you can tolerate the changing of the seasons. And then of course there's other vitamins, other herbs that can be used. If people are having breathing disorders and so forth during seasonal changes. There's a lot of things that we can do, but this diet, when you get on this kind of a diet, then normally all the problems disappear. The problems disappear because your body is able to fight back and heal itself like it's supposed to. Now I've got a couple of microphones open over here, and I'm going to close them up. There we go. All right, we got them closed up again. And so that's why. So yes, so vitamin D. But there's a whole list of things, and I'm not going to go into the complete list of things over and over again. I want you folks to go up on that website, herbalhealthreview.com, and become a member, because there's nothing you can buy on this website except my book that tells you, which is a great book. You can buy it as a digital download. And if you want a hard copy, you can get it from the Health and Herbs people out there in Houston, Texas. So, and their telephone number, I'll give you their telephone number. The telephone number for these kinds of things, one place you can get it is 541-791-8400. That's what 541-791-8400. They have all these things. And I get nothing from the sale of any product, but I don't care. It's all right. Main thing is you find out about it, because they're going to help you. And you get into this list. and you get these things in, and you get your diet to where you're boosting your diet energy by 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 knowing and using all these super nutrients and finding out about super nutrients like fulvic acid, shilajit, like taking a good multiple a vitamin every day, like taking a lot of vitamin C. I mean, 14,000 would be wonderful, but at least 4,000 three times a day, that would be good. 12, but vitamin C and enzymes and a probiotic for to get the digestion so that and these are things I take every day. This is why I'm 82 years old and I'm not sick, and I'm not too sick to work. And even when I am too sick to work, I'm able to work because I do these things. And when I get sick, I feel probably just as good as half the people that are working sick already.
Isn't it true that when you're real healthy, then you still feel inspired to do all kinds of things and be creative? But when you're very sick, you could be a billionaire and be very sick. You're not even inspired or have no inspiration because you're not connected to the being. You're separated by dis-ease, lack of ease, stress, or tension on the body caused by positive ionic matter, poisons, toxins, unwanted bacteria, viruses, heavy metals, and radiation is everything that separates us from that God experience inside of us, the connection to the being, that we want most, joy, happiness, that feeling. And when those chemicals pile up in our bodies, it separates us from that is everything we want, that peace, that feeling of fulfillment, satisfaction, you know? So we need to be very conscious of keeping the temple clean. They've called the body the temple in the past because it houses a very high holy experience. You, the living being. And if you don't watch it, they'll get you. Get you, get you, get you. Go ahead.
So the main thing here, folks, is not just feed your body, but nourish your body. Nourish your body like it's a friend of yours, not like you're too busy and everybody else is more important. That kind of see, we got a lot of people out there who are taking care of everybody but themselves,
You said
and and that's their excuse. And they're all- and they're working sick, and they're helping people sick, and they're continuing to go on until it's over, until they're too sick to even be helped. But
right.
this nourishment goes beyond just some nutrients that are going to be super nourish you, and that's what we need to start with. See, we need to lift you up, and these are the things that are going to really super nourish you. Then it doesn't end there. That's what you got to realize. See, everybody thinks you give them a little taste of what's going on. They think that's it. That's the end. That's all they're gonna. That is not all there is.
This is the beginning of the greatest adventure you ever thought you could have in your life.
When you find out about number one, you found out all the super nutrients. The second thing is you find out about a power drink that incorporates all the kinds of nourishments that are going to super nourish you to where your body is your clock is ticking when everybody else's clock is lagging. They're losing seconds and you're gaining momentum because you got all of this super nourishment with the power drink. Then after the power drink, it gives you whole food, plant-based diet, meal plans, and recipes. So then you take the meal plans you like, take the recipes you like, because no one is saying you got to eat this awful tasting stuff. No one is saying that. What we're saying is the absolute opposite. We're saying you get to choose the meal plans, you get to choose the recipes, but what you need to do is go down and look at the acid alkaline food chart, and you want to that diet to be 60 to 70% alkaline. 70% if you're sick, if you've got pancreatic cancer or stroke or osteoporosis or anything, you need to really super alkalize your body. So your diet needs, when you're looking at the acid alkaline food chart and you're looking at your meal plans and your recipes and you're saying, I love these foods, but this one here, I got way too much acid going here. I need 70% alkaline and about 30% acid, because if they're fighting pancreatic cancer. If they're totally healthy, well, 60% alkaline and 40% uh, uh, at
I
acid.
thought it's 70-30.
Yeah, there you go. 70/30 is better. But if you're so super healthy that, then you can have a little more acid as long as everything's working just fine.
I,
But
I want to I want to
go
tell
ahead.
you what I learned just recently, and I'm sure you'll confirm it. When we eat meat, that's in the acid column, say, and when we eat grains, that's also in the acid column. So when you eat meatballs and spaghetti and get all that heartburn, regurgitation, agita that burns the back of your nose because you ate it late anyway and went to sleep with a full stomach, or you mix any kind of serious carbs, white potatoes with meat. I'm a meat and potato man. They tell, yeah, right. What you're doing is giving your body all acidic. That allows disease to fester. Disease cannot fester in a high alkaline, highly oxygenated state. Dr. Otto Warburg won the Nobel Prize proving it. No disease can fester in a highly alkalized, highly oxygenated state of being.
Okay, that being said, stick to salads, fresh vegetables, healthy nuts and oils. Try to consume plenty of raw foods. Drink half your weight in ounces of pure spring water with minerals daily. Uh, Add one or two slices of fresh organic lemon to drive the water alkaline. Flush the kidneys. Steer clear of fatty meats, dairy, cheese, sweets, chocolates, alcohol, tobacco. Packaged foods are often full of hidden offenders, and microwave meals are full of sugars and salts. Overcooking also removes all the nutrition from a meal. So those are some things that we needed to know about. Diet is essential. You cannot ignore it. Let's get on to talk about stroke here, because we got a lot of
I
people.
wanted to I wanted
Go
to tell
ahead.
you one thing that was left out, one tiny thing. When we take the label, uh, it's not just artificial flavorings we have to be concerned about. They have now hidden MSG and 1,000 other chemicals under natural flavorings on the labels. If the package is not organic, you can't afford to buy it if you want good health and you're sick. You cannot. I can't stress upon people enough anything that's not organic. And sometimes I wonder, because I go to Sprouts and ask them why the salt doesn't say sea salt or organic salt on their organic foods. I want to talk to the manufacturer because I don't want the salts that are in restaurants and things in those oils. Not in my life. I'm 70, my 71st year. I want to follow Dr. Truman and be in good health. And I had a stroke 23 years ago in 1999. And I'm here to talk about it. I didn't go to those doctors or hospitals. I educated myself. And that's what I do every week, just like Dr. Truman. He never stops teaching himself by teaching everyone else. You reaffirm it inside yourself.
Yes, sir. So a stroke happens when there's a disruption of blood flow and oxygen to the brain. There are different types of stroke, each defined by its root cause. Regardless of the root cause, stroke is an extremely serious condition that requires immediate attention. Lack of blood flow and or starvation of blood will undoubtedly lead to lack of oxygen to the brain. The toxins and obstructions in the blood take up available room for oxygen and vital life essence, the chi. When when oxygen is cut off at the blood brain barrier, stroke is the result. Because oxygen is the primary fuel for the brain. Lack of it to the brain will seriously impair the brain, resulting in neurological damage, which is where the paralysis and speech defects come into play. Causes and risk factors, strokes are primarily caused by lack or starvation of oxygen to the brain. There are many reasons why this can happen, which is why there are different types of strokes. There's a ischemic, ISCHEMIC, ischemic strokes are due to blocked arteries in the brain. Types of ischemic strokes include thrombotic stroke, a blockage caused by a blood clot, which then you want to look at the clotting report and you want to find out about the enzyme nattokinase in the clotting report so that there is no clotting, so that you don't have a clotting problem. It's called nattokinase. And also, the stroke is caused by there could be an embolic stroke, embolic, EMBOLIC, embolic stroke, which is when a blood clot breaks away. So then you got a blood clot floating around in there when you really wish you knew about nattokinase where it would dissolve it, because nattokinase is 4 times stronger than the plasmin. Your body makes plasmin to dissolve clots and plaques. Nattokinase, the enzyme that the Japanese discovered approximately a little over 1,000 years ago, that enzyme dissolves clots in veins and in arteries, and what people need to know about it. Okay. Then there's hemorrhagic strokes. Hemorrhagic strokes were caused by blood vessels or arteries that leak or rupture. The types of hemorrhagic stroke are intracerebral hemorrhage. Blood vessel breaks, the blood vessel breaks, and it spills blood into the brain. The subarachnoid and a subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is bleeding at the brain surface that collects between the skull and the brain. So those are some different types of strokes caused by blood vessels or arteries. There's a transient ischemic attack, which is a TIA, and these are known as mini strokes. These transient ischemic attacks, TIA, these are known as mini strokes that last about 5 minutes or less. They are less damaging than an ischemic stroke or brain hemorrhage, but can be an indication of a bigger stroke lingering around the corner. So those are causes and risks. How about symptoms? Symptoms of a stroke or CVA include difficulty talking or understanding, numbness on one side, extremely intense, painful, headache, trouble seeing out of one or both eyes, daily the dietary intervention. Well, the dietary intervention, the greatest dietary culprit in stroke causation was meat and dairy products. Meat and dairy are the greatest causes of stroke. Consumption of these products result in excess production of mucus. When you're consuming meat and dairy, you got two substances that obstruct the arterial blood flow throughout the body in general, the brain in particular, and resulting in ischemia. A vegan diet and or raw foods diet is best for healing and optimal health purposes. You know, that make lifestyle changes diet system is really going to help to uh, defeat stroke type problems. Vegetable juices will greatly help to remove accumulated arterial plaque and debris in the body, and juice plenty of green vegetables, uh, juice plenty of green vegetables like celery, parsley, and spinach. So here is the number one and the greatest single herb you can take for prevention or remedy of stroke is the herb periwinkle. Periwinkle, botanically known as Vinca major, is a plant that naturally improves the blood flow to the brain area. It helps to arrest all excess bleeding, all excess bleeding disorders, and is useful. Periwinkle is useful for hemorrhaging, excess menstrual flow, nosebleed, bleeding gums, and all other bleeding disorders. If you have a bleeding disorder, periwinkle. And you also want to know about uh, there are other herbs that also slow down bleeding, like cayenne pepper. Uh, and there and there are great and which is also a great herb for prevention of strokes. It's cayenne pepper, ginger, cinnamon, cranesbill, golden seal root, blessed thistle, ginkgo biloba, and enhancing herbs will help prevent or remedy a stroke. A stroke is categorically a circulatory disease. There is a circulation formula increase circulation, and you'll find it has some of these herbs that we've already just mentioned. Calcium is uh, calcium is very important in rectifying all circulatory diseases. You got a circulatory problem, you got to make sure you're getting calcium. And and also calcium helps with disorders like stroke, because calcium is the most alkaline mineral in the mineral family. You definitely got to keep calcium going, but not
Bear with us a moment, folks. We're trying to get Doug Truman back.
The in the mineral kingdom, calcium helps to counteract acidity and bust up accumulated debris that stick to the arterial walls and thus open up clogged and obstructed arteries. So if you've got clogs or obstructed arteries, don't be afraid that they'll take calcium, that it might clog up. Natural calcium, there's one called, there's an herbal formula. If you're having a difficulty with the osteoporosis and you're having a problem uptaking the calcium, well, number one, make sure you're taking uh, that vitamin D3. Then there's an herbal formula called bones, hair, and fingernail. And when you look at that formulation, number 1069, it's a formula that I created. And the herbs in there, in that number 1069, because you can click on any of the uh, herbs or formulas like the bones, hair, fingernail. And when you click on it, then you can see it. You're looking at it. Here it is. It's available from a manufacturer that make that particular formula. I get nothing from the sale, any products. So um, that makes evil people happy. Doesn't make me happy. So anyway, there that and what's in that formula is organic oat straw leaf, shave grass, horsetail leaf, Baharinga Raja root, mullein leaf, burdock root, slippery elm bark in there. Uh, and structured water means it's alkaline. And so that's it. There's a formula that helps you uptake your calcium. And it's formula number 1069, 30 drops 3 times a day. If you're sensitive to everything, start with 6 drops 3 times a day for about a week and then increase it to maybe twice that amount, maybe to 12 drops, because somewhere between 6 and 30 drops is what a regular dosage is for most people. But we're always careful, and we start with a little bit and to whatever the dosage is on the label. Don't stop at 6 drops. If 6 drops works for you, fine. You might increase it a little bit in order to get plenty of it. But usually 30 drops 3 times a day of these liquid extract um, food nutrients. Uh, that's what the dosage is. Let's get back, take a look at this stroke, because that's going to help people with osteoporosis. Uh, this bone formula number 1069, so that they're uptaking the calcium. Then make sure that they're on the Make Lifestyle Changes diet system, and that should correct the problem. But here's one of the big problems with calcium. Big problem is the calcium is trying to get through the tissue, through the tissues to the bones, to the hair, to the fingernails, to the teeth. It's not making it. It's not getting there. It's getting trapped in the tissue. What what untraps it? What sets it free? Betaine HCl. That's an amino acid. Betaine HCl converts to pepsinogen. Pepsinogen converts to the enzyme pepsin, and it breaks down the calcium and it gets through the tissue to the bones, the hair, teeth, the fingernails, and you don't have osteoporosis. So that's how that works. Oh, by the way, that betaine will also get rid of gas acid reflux. If anybody says, "Oh, I got too much acid," they're wrong. feels like you have too much acid. Even medical doctor might even say you have too much acid, but you don't. It's not enough. It's not enough to break down the food, and it keeps trying to make more, and and it's not working correctly. But the betaine HCl corrects that. You take one betaine with each meal, and that one betaine with each meal, then uh, that one will break down your food, and the calcium will get through the tissues, and uh, that'll help you to where you are not going to have osteoporosis. So that's very important. One with each meal. Oh, and if you do have acid reflux and it's terrible, take two of the betaines with a large glass of water. In 10 minutes, the gas acid reflux is gone in 10 minutes. Two with a large glass of water. So that's how we make sure you're getting that calcium and it's not being trapped. So anyway, that's that gives us a good start on things that can help us. There's also a heavy metal detox, which would help to detox us from heavy metals. That would be very valuable. Uh, and when there's a stroke, hydrogen peroxide, 35% food grade, would be very helpful when there's stroke. We need everything, all the oxygen we can get, and hydrogen peroxide, food grade, converts to oxygen
That's
in
one
the
of the
body.
biooxidative therapies.
There you go.
And it
And
is absolutely ozone is produced by vitamin C, actually hydrogen peroxide. The ozone that you might still have in the air is keeping you healthy. On they tell you the opposite. If there's high levels of ozone, don't come out. What they mean is there's high levels of pollution using up all the ozone. Anyway, the ozone level used to be higher years ago, and the hydrogen peroxide 35% is exactly what your immune system produces. It is one of the biooxidative therapies. However, it can be caustic if you take and abuse it. In an emergency, it will save your life. It's one of the things. The magozone is another thing I use.
okay, all right. So moving through this because we've got a lot to cover. You're going to find that herbs like frankincense, which is also called boswellia, which is also called, you know, incense. That's why they frank incense, and frankincense is used in aromatherapy. Boswellia. It's used in aromatherapy and art, and it's used for arthritis, bronchitis, used in cuts and wounds, used in facial care, pain relief, rheumatoid arthritis. The properties in frankincense and boswellia, which is a biblical herb given to baby Jesus, uh, the properties are analgesic, anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, anti-rheumatic, aromatic, astringent, cicatrisant, diuretic. Uh, it's used in meditation. It's used as a sedative. It's used as a uterine tonic and a vulnerary. Frankincense boswellia, sometimes referred to as olive oil, used in aromatherapy that can offer a variety of health benefits, helping to relieve chronic stress and anxiety, reducing pain and inflammation, boosting the immune system, and even fighting cancer. And then there's turmeric. And turmeric is incredible, especially when there's breast cancer, because it's so anti inflammatory and it stimulates bile flow and it reduces blood clotting. So when there's clotting, turmeric is going to help to reduce that. And very importantly, that turmeric is crossing the blood brain barrier. So if you've got any clots, tumors in the brain, turmeric is going to cross the blood brain barrier and help to protect uh, the body from blood clotting, and it protects the liver. Turmeric, curcumin. It's a powerful anti-inflammatory.
With
And
black pepper,
and
it activates with black pepper though.
yes, black
I put
pepper.
I
Which,
put it on
which
everything and in my tea. I put it. I load lots of it. I use a lot of it.
yes, and it's a food. And in
Yeah, it's
countries where
delicious.
it grows, they eat it. It's a root. It looks kind of like it looks like a carrot inside. It looks like a carrot inside, and it looks like a ginger root on the outside. And it's safe to eat it like food because it is food, and it's what kept the inflammation down on the slaves while they were building those pyramids. It kept they ate it, and it reduced it in inflammation. And then there's colloidal silver water that is absolutely wonderful because it's nature's healer. You can make your own colloidal silver water with a colloidal silver water generator, which is just barely a little bit more than the cost of a quart of the water. You can buy the device that makes it called a colloidal silver water generator, and they're guaranteed for life that they never break. If they do, you send it back to the manufacturer. They send you a new one, or they fix it and send you the same one back because it's guaranteed. It never breaks, and it's a solid state. That's why they can do it because there's nothing in there to break. It's like a flashlight, and it runs on three 9-volt batteries. And when it runs, when the little light on the front is weak, means you need to change the batteries. That's the only reason it's there. And anyway, everybody should have. I don't say this, I don't say this, but I'm going to say it now. And that is everybody should have a colloidal silver water generator. They really should, because it'll purify the water wherever you are, from bacteria, fungus, and viruses. Then you can drink the water. Okay, if that's what's wrong with the water. But if it's got contaminants in it like heavy metals and mercury, well, you got to have those. You got to take those out. Then you got to know about things like cilantro. So you can take a handful of cilantro leaves, put it in a strainer, and pour uh, water that's contaminated with heavy metals over the cilantro. The cilantro will absorb all the heavy metals.
The
Then you
clay
can
will
drink the water.
also. You put a little
And
clay
there
in
you
there.
go, bentonite clay.
It'll absorb all those metals, so you can drink it.
There you go. So those are some things that can save your life. If you are trapped and the water is loaded with heavy metals, loaded with bacteria, and you know about these things, like the colloidal silver water generator, and 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 uh, uh, and like the clay, bentonite, calcium bentonite clay, and then there's pregnenolone. It's an inexpensive hormone that improves resistance to stress. If you're constantly in a stressful environment, you want to know about pregnenolone that improves resistance to stress. And it's what they give a military pilot so they can fly another mission when they're exhausted and fatigued. Yes, pregnenolone. It balances the mood. It puts you in a good mood, and so that's what they do. A military pilot flies in and says, "I can't fly another mission." They give him some pregnenolone, and 10 minutes later they're back in the jet flying another mission. It balances their mood. It it removes the fatigue and exhaustion, and it increases their adrenal output, and it improves their nerve impulse transmission. They're not shaky anymore, and it improves spinal cord injuries, especially if there's a spinal cord injury and you immediately use pregnenolone. It can regrow it back together again. Very few people know that one.
I didn't know that.
Pregnenolone for spinal cord injuries. GABA. GABA is an amino acid. See, these amino acids, that's what the protein is trying to break down to become as amino acids. So if you know about amino acids, you know about a fountain of energy. Water is a fountain of youth. And the colloidal silver water is the king. Uh, and 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 so GABA, gamma amino butyric acid, an amino acid, it's used for anxiety and stress and brain function and
I
ADD.
I
It's
need
also used
that.
for enlarged prostate. It's used for enlarged prostate because it plays a role in the mechanism of regulating the release of sex hormones. And if you've got prostate cancer or prostate infection, you're not getting any release of sex hormones. Not that that's not. But if you know about GABA, which is so safe you can eat the whole bottle at one time, it's a food. It's an amino acid, gamma amino butyric acid, and doctors prescribe it all the time. And you don't need a prescription. It's a food. You can get it from your health food store. GABA for anxiety, stress, brain function, ADD, enlarged prostate. Take GABA. It'll put you in a better mood and it'll help a lot of stuff. Then my favorite thing that if I get it, if I can't get it, if I run out of it, and it has happened to me, my super green foods. I created a super green food formula that is totally balanced with chlorella, spirulina, barley grass, wheatgrass, alfalfa powder, olive leaf extract, and seaweed. I mean, that is, if I don't get that, I don't have any energy. I can go 3 days without it. On the third day, I don't even want to do anything. I have no energy left. I'm done. That's my kryptonite right there. Super
Doc,
green foods. I
Doc,
love it. You can get it as a liquid. You can get it as a powder. Go ahead.
Doc. Uh,
Yes,
the
Paul.
the unsung hero of the super green foods is the chlorophyll, because people really need chlorophyll, because the only difference between chlorophyll and human blood is blood uses iron as a central molecule, chlorophyll uses magnesium. Other than that, they're identical. And when
So,
you don't get enough green foods, when you don't get enough support for your bloodstream, you a little bit of anemia starts to set in, and when that happens, your energy level goes down, down, down. And that explains
yep,
exactly
I know.
why that happened. Super
Yeah,
green foods just off
yeah.
the hook. Everybody needs them. Everyone. And
Yes,
I'm sorry. I
I
just
love
wanted
it.
to throw that
That
in.
no, I'm glad that you feel. I love my super green foods. Thank you for standing up for super green foods. Everybody should have super green foods. That's twice now. The- everybody should have a colloidal silver water.
I too. Dr. Hills passed away many, many
Oh yeah,
years ago,
yeah.
but he's the one that introduced me to spirulina, bee pollen, ginseng, things like that, and it
Oh yeah.
changed my whole life. That was it. I never stopped using it.
Yes.
Spirulina
So
is the number one food on the planet. It
Yeah.
is 18 amino acids in high proportion, and if any one of them are deficient, it brings them all down. It's 65 to 71% protein, and with the help of some enzymes, it'll get in your blood within 45 minutes and supercharge you, along with the chlorella and whatever the other things that you're putting in there.
Oh yeah, some seaweed and some olive leaf extract, which is that olive leaf is antiviral. So it's just just a well balanced formulation that I just feel great as long as I'm taking it. And if I happen to run out and I can't get some fast enough, I really do know it. And so and go ahead.
No, I'm laughing because it's the same. I have to agree with you. Anytime I ever ran out of it, 1982, basically, I've always been doing that.
There you go. Paying attention to is making sure you're getting a acidophilus or probiotic. You've got to get that friendly bacteria. It's every day because that that friendly bacteria can change overnight and you don't know it. So stay with it every day. Give yourself some more friendly bacteria, and if your immune system is low and you're fighting pancreatic cancer and so forth, then you are a candidate for colostrum because colostrum is a very concentrated immune system builder. It is a memory secretion produced by mom, by the mother just before the birth, and it is released into the mother's milk right after birth so that baby gets it and baby gets all these protective antibodies and all these super nutrients, and that's how and so if your immune system is down, do that colostrum for a month or two and it'll boost it up.
I have a
Also,
question. I have a
yes
question
sir, go ahead.
regarding that subject. Let's say I see somebody in the supermarket and all those infant formulas have corn syrup in it, and as I told you, one third has mercury in the corn syrup. And what would what could cholesterol? What do you call it?
Colostrum.
Colostrum. Excuse me. What benefit might it have for a little baby? Is there any benefit? Can they even take it? Will it do them any good that you know of?
Sure, it's all the immune factors coming from the mom, and so yeah, uh, uh, especially a child who hasn't had that, just as soon as possible. If you could make sure they're getting some colostrum, that would be a very good thing for
That
that
was my
baby and
feeling
mom.
that you'd say that. I wasn't sure though.
Yeah, yeah. So
Mm.
that's what colostrum is. It's produced by mom, of the and the mothers of mammals.
And how
So
would we know how to give it to a baby for future reference?
I'll put it with well, as soon as you're giving that baby, if the baby is fortunate enough to get some breast milk, uh, although they miss the colostrum, then you could introduce it at any time.
And
So
how
you
about if they're not getting any breast milk and they're stuck using
then
garbage
then,
formulas?
yeah, then they need it more than they need it more than ever.
How would I give it to a little baby? What
And
suggestions might there be?
whatever they are getting, whatever formula they're getting, uh, instead of breast milk, if you also make sure they're getting some colostrum powder stirred up in that, uh, then they're getting some colostrum, and you only have to do that again for you know for like maybe 7 days. when you're introducing colostrum to a baby who has never received colostrum because the baby has missed their mom for some reason. They never, never had that opportunity to get that breast milk. And then if they're not getting any breast milk at all, yeah, they really desperately could use, something like goat's milk, which is more digestible, and then put a little colostrum in it to boost up their immune system. Good
Right.
idea. Good
Right.
idea. Okay, and then there's ginseng.
Oh,
Ginseng,
that's one of my favorites.
yeah, ginseng when there's cancer, and pancreatic cancer, or if you just got to, if you just you need a real good tonic. As a matter of fact, I had my Power six ginsengs. I don't know if you can see that or not.
Kind of, but
Um,
not.
maybe not.
No,
But
you're
anyway,
sharing
that's
your screen.
my power ginseng. Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen, but anyway, that's what I took 2 or 3 squirts of that before the broadcast because I missed breakfast, I missed lunch, and so that's it. And it's like 7 o'clock in the evening almost here now, and that's all I'm running on. There's a couple of squirts of ginseng, but the reason why it works is because it protects against radiation damage. Ginseng, and the ginseng that I created is
Really?
all of the ginsengs all together in one bottle because there's all these different types of ginsengs. So I put them all in one bottle. Man, is it powerful! Anyway, it protects against radiation damage. Ginsengs protect against stress, fatigue, and high blood sugar. Increases endurance and balances hormones. It's an adaptogen. It's an alterative. It's a stimulant. It's considered to be the king of all tonics as it provides stimulation to the entire body for stress, fatigue, and weakness and deficiencies. And it stimulates and it improves the brain cells. And it's especially stimulating for mental fatigue. Ginseng works with the heart and blood circulation. Thus, it's helpful with normalizing blood pressure. It's reducing cholesterol and atherosclerosis, and it's nourishing to the blood and beneficial for anemia. It also helps to reduce blood sugar levels and is beneficial in treating diabetes. Other uses of ginsengs include as an antidote to toxic drugs and chemicals, and for protection against radiation, which we mentioned before, improvement of vision and hearing to help improve one's working ability, as well as balancing to irritability, and for women with lowered resistance and deficiencies of hormonal balance. And then we would be remiss if we didn't really get into a cleansing of toxins, cleaning up the bloodstream, cleaning up the digestive tract and the liver. And here is the formula. It's called number 1078. Number 1078, colon and liver cleansing liquid. It's CAC, colon and liver cleansing liquid. And you take a teaspoon or a tablespoon, whatever amount, makes every bowel movement so soft it breaks up in a cloud when you flush the toilet. That's when you got the right amount for you. And when you change, then if you'll need less and less and less because it'll tone up the digestive tract and tone up the peristaltic muscle tone of the bowel so that it works again. And then you're using this fiber, this special fiber, along with this 1078 CAC liquid that you're taking enough of to keep every bowel movement soft. When you flush the toilet, it breaks up in a cloud. And you're using enough of a fiber formula number 4837 fiber formula with bentonite, with that bentonite clay in it, and you're using that to absorb all the toxins you want to get rid of. That's a detox system, pulling heavy metals and toxins out of the digestive tract. And I've got a microphone that opened there in area code 404. Did you have a question, a suggestion, or a topic? Nope, it's just an open mic. Okay, I'm going to close it. Please open your mic if you have any questions, topics, or suggestions. We're coming close to the top of the hour, though, so you want to hurry for that. But we're talking about a fiber with bentonite clay. It's a powder, and you take enough of this powder and you do it 2 hours before dinner on an empty stomach because it's going to absorb everything. And if you take it along with your vitamins and minerals, it's going to absorb your vitamins and minerals. Everything that's in your digestive tract is going to take even the moisture out of the digestive tract, and you're going to have to drink another glass of water as soon as possible, as soon as you can, within 10 or 15 minutes of the first glass of water, juice, or tea that you've taken enough of this fiber powder, whether it's a teaspoon, tablespoon, whatever amount thickens the bowel movements enough to where there's no griping, there's no loose, you're not too loose. So and you're not, so the bowel movement is then thickened up with this fiber, enough of it, absorbing all the bad things you want to get rid of. And that's what you do, and you do it for 2 weeks. That is a cleansing detox. The only thing you could do to improve that would be take the heavy metal detox formula along with that, which would aid in absorbing even more heavy metals. There's a heavy metal formula called heavy. So if you go up there on the website and you type in the word heavy, it'll bring up heavy metal detox. It's a liquid that will help it absorb heavy metals. But anyway, that's it. The other thing that you could do here is tone up the glandular system, because the glands, there's all these glands, the thyroid gland, pituitary gland, the spleen, the pancreas, and when there's pancreatic cancer, that's a gland cancer. So you want to tune up the glands, all of the glands, because when one gland is weak, then the other glands are also getting weak and getting weaker. So you tune them all up at the same time. So when I started out, I had 8 separate formulations in this gland formula, and I started out by using them individually, but then I put them all together in one formula so that they're all together, and including a heart formula to work on the heart and the glands all at the same time. And that's a gland formula, number 1196. And number 1196 gland formula, you take like a teaspoon of it once or twice a day, and it's going to help balance the blood sugar levels. It's going to also regulate the lymphatic system. It's going to stimulate and strengthen the spleen and the pancreas. And when there's pancreatic cancer, you need to strengthen the spleen and the pancreas and all these glands. And it stimulates the thyroid and balances the endocrine system. And this gland formula with a heart formula in it also keeps the heart in proper function. Also, it can be used to aid digestion and eliminate toxins and dissolve gallbladder stones. So that's a gland formula. So these are
what is the number again on that?
Number 1196.
1196.
That's correct. And so you want to make sure that you're getting into that Make Lifestyle Changes diet system. You want to making sure you find out about the gland formula, especially when there's a pancreatic cancer, And those are some ideas. And get on that Make Lifestyle Changes diet system and use all the herbs that are for stroke. You know that so that because you're right now your body with pancreatic cancer is really suffering. And if there's osteoporosis, just make sure that you're on that Make Lifestyle Changes diet system, and make sure you're taking that that betaine HCl. So you're getting that calcium and magnesium and all these things that you're trying to get. And if there is anxiety or depression, look at the anxiety and depression report, because there because there's all kinds of herbs and natural remedies to help to comfort someone who is actually dealing with anxiety and stress, and could use something to cool down the nervous system. So those are the things that we needed to touch on today, and including prostate cancer. We got them all in, uh, and uh, and a lot of other information besides. We found out a lot about how valuable vitamin D3 is, and that's why it's a part of the the Make Lifestyle Changes diet system. That being said, is there anyone who has any other questions, topics, or suggestion as we come to the closing of this broadcast and reach for our Bible for a closing prayer?
Can you say a
I do
few
use the
things?
bentonite clay. It's an alkalizer.
Uh,
Huh?
I'm sorry, go ahead. Who was there talking?
I
Uh,
was saying that I do use the bentonite clay. It's an alkalizing mineral from Mother Earth. 43 million years it's been sitting in a subterranean mine. And when you take the baths with it and heat your body up in a 20-minute bath, it opens up trillions of cells in your body to help release the toxins. And when I put magnesium ozone in my body, the magnesium is sucked up by trillions of cells and it delivers the oxygen to those cells and helps those mitochondria to work and function better as energy generators in our cells. And
can
I like bagging the feet also with the bentonite clay. It
can you talk a
it
little
it
bit?
brings the blood, huh?
Can you talk a little bit about type 2 diabetes, Doc Truman? Um, is there
That would help.
something that somebody can do to help them manage their sugar levels, their glucose levels?
Yes.
Stop eating carbs and meats, for one thing. And the main thing is eat raw foods for 30 days, the green ones, not the carbohydrates. And then Dr. Truman has other things you can add to your, take away everything else and then add what Dr. Truman's suggesting.
And let's go to that diabetes report that's on the website herbalhealthreview.com, and look at all the things that can be done to help people and comfort people who are suffering with diabetes and type 1 or type 2, either one. You need to find out about a kit that is called a diabetes plus kit. And let's go over and see who makes something like that. A diabetes plus kit.
Fasting also, fasting, intermittent fasting. Remember that.
And when we're looking at diabetes plus kit, here it is. It's number 4429. So let's see what is in the diabetes plus kit. And what's in it is going to be some diabetes tea extract, 4 ounces. There'll be that gland rejuvenator in a 4 ounce a bottle of that in that kit. There'll also be a glucose balance liquid in there and a diabetes herbal tea. Those are four things to start with. And then, like Edward says, go on a diet of green foods. Get into that make lifestyle changes diet system and nourish your body and use these kinds of diabetes uh, 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 comforters that are helping people to be comforted and encourage their nutrition. Uh, uh, that it works. We have people coming back and saying they do not have any diabetes symptoms after 30 days. And we have a lot of them saying that. So that's a good place to start.
Before I ever met you years ago, I learned that it only takes 30 days. Change what you're doing if you want a different outcome. And if you're not wanting it, you can't have it. First, you have to want it.
Definition of insanity is
Yes.
continuing to do the same thing and expecting a different result. Okay, thank you, Dr. Truman. That's the diabetes kit, and they can find out more
That's the
information.
diabetes kit number 4429. You can call the telephone number 541-791-8400. They have all these kinds of products. I get nothing from the sale of any product. They have products, but you can talk to them about that. That's Health and Herbs in Houston, Texas, 541-791-8400. And then if there's any other questions, contact me and I'll put you in touch with people that can help you to get what you need and to become a member of the Herbal Health Review and help us to get this information out to more people at website herbalhealthreview.com and become a member and fill out a member intake form so that I can help you personally. My telephone number is 541 that is neat. How about that? 503. My telephone number is 503 362 5899. 503 362 5899. My email address is truman at herbalhealthreview.com. And uh, we're looking at Genesis 8. Genesis 8 spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl and of the cattle and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. In Jesus Christ's name, Yeshua, all praises to the Most High God. Praise, worship, and thank you as we receive your complete, continuous, endless, and limitless blessing for the glory and for the victory of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. In Jesus Christ's name, Yeshua. So be it. We receive, receive, receive. So be it. We open up all the microphones for all the brothers and the sisters that they may also praise and worship the Most High with us. Please praise and worship the Most High with us. Your microphones have been opened. Praise, worship, and thank you. Praise, worship, and thank you, the Most High God. Bless your families. Bless you in Jesus Christ's name. So be it. Amen.
Amen. So
All praises to the Most High.
All praises to the Most High.
all praises, Dr. Truman.
All praises to the Most High,
Shalom.
brothers and sisters. Shalom.
This program is presented for information purposes only. The statements made herein have not been evaluated by any agency and should not be considered professional, legal, or medical advice. Viewers are directed to consult their own professional sources before acting on any information presented here.